Yes, we're basically about to all get replaced, and I'm not going to be paid to align logos anymore because Siri can do that. Started looking at unique jobs in 2020 that pay over $100,000 that aren't going to be replaced by robots anytime soon. You could be a professional snuggler and get paid $40 an hour, but I guess you could also snuggle an AI that could probably snuggle better than I can because I don't know where I'm going with this. Credit for this video idea goes out to Seb, who has asked and has made me very worried with the question, Brian, how much of an impact do you think that AI will affect the finance industry? JP Morgan has already started acquiring AI hedge funds, so how fast will finance jobs will disappear or at least be impacted? I saw a video and it said that 50% of finance jobs could disappear. I forgot by what time period. What do you think? Before I dive into my concerns about the future of this role, but honestly, any role in this day and age, let's talk about what we're against. Artificial intelligence, which I honestly don't know much about. This is just a Google definition I'm reading off a computer. Artificial intelligence, sometimes called machine intelligence, is intelligence demonstrated by a machine, unlike the natural intelligence displayed by humans and animals. Not sure much natural intelligence is displayed by humans or animals to begin with. Not a very high bar. Jokes aside, AI is a big buzzword. Seems like there's a lot of machine learning going on. Phones are listening to us at all times. Fun fact for you guys, because things like, hey Siri, always listening.
Iris.
It's crazy what computers and software can do now. I've seen videos of software making their own music, writing their own books, achieving creativity where people thought that AI would never be able to achieve. When I think of AI, I think of movies like Ex Machina or Her, WALL-E, I, Robot. Things could get pretty cool / scary. And not to get political, I think there is probably a wave of fear / scariness that's coming our way, where a lot of software engineering stuff, a lot of software, a lot of AI, it doesn't even have to be AI, but a lot of this new tech is going to replace a lot of jobs in the past. And I know that there's countless arguments on both sides that show we've had industrial revolutions before, and that's actually led to more jobs. On the flip side, this is not like anything else before. Tech is a new thing that we're not used to. You can't compare it to the agricultural or industrial revolution. Even during those revolutions, the previous group basically got screwed. So if you're a farmer transitioning from being a farmer to industrial revolution, those of the industrial revolution leadership basically screwed over the agricultural group. This video isn't meant to get political. This is more just my thoughts on investment banking in terms of AI and what I think could be replaced is being replaced versus what can't be. To go back to Seb's question, I do think that hedge funds and quantitative things that require a lot more brain power, if anything, are getting replaced a lot. On the floor, like you see on The Wolf of Wall Street, you're not seeing people yelling back and forth, selling, trading stocks anymore. There's a guy making an algorithm that, based on market conditions and inputs, trades rapidly in splits of a second. I think that's already a thing, will continue to be a thing, and those who can do it the best will win. And those guys make a crap ton of money. If you really want money, that is really the field you should go into. I do think, not to protect myself, but on the flip side, the things that we do, advisory, I think that will take a bit of time, if not ever be fully replaced by AI. I think that there is an intrinsic trust that people have in terms of advisory towards people. And a lot of our work, at the top at least, is based on relationships. And if we come to a world where relationships are something that we can invest into AI or computers, we probably have bigger questions / concerns to think about than will investment banking be replaced by AI. I do think, aside from the relationship / philosophical base of me being optimistic about this career path, the flip side of it is there is probably a lot of things that we do that ultimately will and is currently kind of being automated away, or at least third-partied out to other vendors. What I mean by that is perhaps the level of research that we do, market studies, aligning logos, so on and so forth. There are plenty of examples, couple examples, that I've heard of where companies outsource them to other countries and have them do it for much cheaper, much faster, and honestly probably better at a faster speed because it's a lower cost thing to do, and it probably is not worth the time of their analysts to do, and they could use their analysts to do more complicated things like building models or actual finance. I do think those menial tasks that we always joke about or meme about can definitely be outsourced, can definitely be taken care of by AI, as long as, and this is beyond my understanding of how software works, but as long as you tell it to do these things and pick out buzzwords from manager comments and be able to apply them at a 99% success rate or even a 90% success rate. They can go in, do all the heavy lifting that technically isn't heavy lifting for the computer, who can do it instantly, and have the analyst or the associate clean up whatever's remaining. That, I think, is completely possible. I'm sure AI is better than me at sending out calendar invites that are perfectly on time, matching every time zone, don't get the invite list wrong. That I almost wish would happen so that there would be less menial tasks on our end, less blame for careless mistakes that is 100% preventable by AI, but not necessarily the fault of people, because people make typos and slips, and if that's something that AI can take care of, but also be efficient, but also let us keep our jobs, best of both worlds. To reiterate the flip side of this though, that I did mention in the beginning of the video, my optimistic but also realistic approach, in the world of professional services that isn't the hard skill, technical skill part where you're creating the models, creating the SIPs, creating marketing documents, sending out emails, I do think there is an aspect of this job more at the top part, which I guess as the bottom part person is concerning. But at the top part, that can't be replaced by AI. I think so much of this job has to do with the fact that you are entrusting this person's experience, this person's perspective, and this person's friendliness and your ability to grab a beer with them. And the reason why you're engaging in business is because of that person. I'm struggling with this idea because I do understand that if we get to a world where you can entrust all those things into a robot, which probably is infinitely more accurate, infinitely more knowledgeable and constantly accessible, even though we're somewhat constantly accessible, then why would you choose a person over the machine? I guess I have faith in that unless we cut the world and start over with an AI overridden world, there will always be residue of people like you and I who remember the old days of wanting to interact with people. And I think we're kind of seeing that right now during quarantine. I think Zoom works, but we all deep inside know that there's a limitation of how well you can interact virtually versus in person. Kind of an abstract comparison because you wouldn't be interacting with someone real through Zoom, you would be interacting with someone virtually, and that someone would also be a virtual being, which in my perspective makes it worse. I think there's something about entrusting yourself into something that is also a person. And I completely understand that that's wrong because AI is probably more accurate, more safe, correct, more smart. But as people, I think we like to trust people over Siri. It's kind of the whole thing about automated cars. I think most people think automated cars are cool. Young people will probably love doing Tesla on auto drive. But if we took a survey of the country and we said, would you be okay with everyone being in automated cars because it guarantees a no accident rate, I would still argue a majority of the country probably still would not be comfortable entrusting their lives into a car. And for many people, sadly, exaggerating, and for some people, money might be more important than life, or money is life. And who are they going to trust their money with? And who are they going to trust with raising millions of dollars? I'm ranting at this point, and these are based off no facts, just my thoughts. I just think that there's something intrinsic about us as human beings that likes to instill trust on other human beings, and there's probably a limitation of which you want to leave an advisory role to a computer because things change, circumstances change, and what we do is emotional. Am I personally worried? Not really. I don't think that my end goal is to become a banker for life, so not worried in that direction. On the flip side, I'm also such an intrinsic believer that those that do well will do well in any circumstance, and those that don't do well continue to create excuses. And I've been on both ends in my life. But given any circumstance, I think people who tend to blame, saying that AI is going to take over, what if this happens, what if that happens, you could be stuck in that zone, you could be stuck in that mindset, something that I've been before. I do that every day. But that is the limitation that you're putting on yourself. Or you could be on the flip side and think, how can this make my role better? How can this create more opportunity? And even if that might be logically or objectively wrong, and as sad as that sounds, in the long run, that's the better thing to do. There is a job out there that allows you to be creative, the potential to make a lot of money, and probably very hard to be replaced by AI because people probably don't want to watch someone that's not actually a someone talking to a camera. YouTubers will not be replaced by AI. Thanks everyone for watching. As always, I seem a little scatterbrained because lacked a bit of sleep recently. Maybe if an AI was making this video, they would make more sense. I don't know what the future holds. Not sure if I'm getting replaced anytime soon. But in the same logic that the development of computers actually led to more paper being printed, I think that the development of AI will probably lead to cooler, better things, and quite possibly more cooler, better jobs. Or maybe I'm just crazy and I'm lacking sleep and I'm just trying to be hopeful because I want to keep my job. Bottom line, I'm not worried. Have a great rest of your week and see you guys next week.